For the interview with
Hey everybody, you're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I'm your host Felipe, and over there, live from Tennessee, is my good friend Melvin Lopez. Melvin, how are you this
what's
evening?
going on, my friend?
What were
I'm
you
doing
telling me right
great.
now? I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off there.
I bought this new equipment for the interview with Bob Kendrick next week.
Oh yes, yes. For those
So
who
for those
don't,
of you
go ahead.
who don't know, well, since I guess the cat's out of the bag now, I have a media called the Baseball Cosmos that studies history of baseball in the Caribbean. A big part of baseball in the Caribbean is the Negro Leagues, and president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Mr. Bob Kendrick, was gracious enough to give us an interview, and that's going to happen next week. And I was telling Felipe that I bought this this nice little microphone for that because I'm talking to Bob Kendrick. I'm talking to a guy that knew Willie Mays and Buck O'Neill personally. I can't just talk to him. I gotta have some cool equipment like Felipe does. So
Yeah,
glad to be
man.
here, man.
Yeah, you gotta up your game, bro. Especially with a guy like Bob Kendrick. I think he has his own podcast. So was it the Black Diamonds podcast, I
Black
believe?
Diamonds on Sirius XM.
That's right. Here it is. Black Diamonds, Sirius XM, or you can get them on Spotify or any other podcast, I'm sure. Just like you can get this podcast, season premiere, season number 6 of the Total Basis podcast on Spotify. You just
Season
got
premiere. That's
season
awesome, man.
premiere, and I got the Baseball Cosmos guys to help me out here. You can check us out, Life Group Podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you use. We should be on there. And if not, we usually have visuals for you.
For the
You can
young
check
people, Instagram,
it
TikTok while we have it,
while we have it. Looks like Mr. Beast might buy it, might buy out TikTok. We'll see if that happens. But yeah, all the visuals can be checked out on YouTube again under the Life Group Podcasts banner there. In the meantime, like I said, well, like Melvin mentioned, does history of baseball over at Baseball Cosmos with the focus on the Caribbean and Latin American leagues that and winter leagues in general that we're not always aware of just because here in America there's just so many things going on while the winter leagues are going on, with baseball, I'm sorry, not baseball, football, basketball, hockey, you name it, we college football, everything's going on. But yes, there is baseball going on in countries like Venezuela, Mexico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and all those countries. And they get together every year and they play in what they call the Caribbean World Series, Melvin. And I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% sure how that whole thing spiel works, but that's why I have you here because you're the expert. Why don't you tell the people out there about the Caribbean World Series, how it works, and when will it start this year?
Well, absolutely. The Caribbean series has been going on since 1949.
Mm.
It went on a little bit of a hiatus in the 60s because things were a little roaring in the 60s in the Caribbean politically, etc. But it's gone uninterrupted since 1970. So it took a little break from 60 to 70, and then it's gone uninterrupted for the past 50 years. And it's basically the champions of all the winter leagues from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Mexico. They get together and they deem who is the champion of the Caribbean. Kind of like a for those of you familiar with soccer, the UEFA, the all those continental tournaments. Sometimes there are some teams that are invited as well. Uh, Panama, Colombia, Nicaragua, Cuba, they've all been invited. Actually, those confederations in Central America and South America have a Latin American tournament as well. Only the there's going to be two tournaments. They're not competing with one another. The Caribbean Series and the Latin America tournament is going to be uh, happening as well. So the Caribbean series is Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic this year. It's Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Mexico. Those four are always going to be present. And then they choose to invite two or three of any other teams. This year, they have invited a Japanese winner baseball team. So there's also a rumor that Shohei is going to throw the first pitch down there. That
Ooh.
hasn't been confirmed, but it's a really good way to showcase the talent in the Caribbean, and a lot of our legends that we know in MLB. Who's who? Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Bob Gibson, Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige. They all played in the Winter League. Many of them played in the Caribbean Series, and we are very proud to cover them. For the English speakers that want baseball all year round, then Baseball Cosmos is right here for you.
Yeah, I always like the idea of that. Like it's baseball from all over, around, year round, or however the catchphrase goes, because it doesn't stop, right? It just keeps going, and
Well,
the
and
li-
that's what we created it. I
yeah,
created Baseball Cosmos because honestly, nothing against basketball, football, hockey, or any other sport, but I'm a baseball guy and I wanted to have baseball all year around from all around. So in America, baseball stops in November and it picks back up in February. In the Baseball Cosmos, baseball never stops. So if you're out there and you want baseball through the winter, and you want it covered in English because there's plenty of places that cover it in Spanish. A lot of my friends in baseball life didn't have it in English, and I created it for pretty much my friends in baseball life, and now we have expanded. So we have over 5,000 followers now. So we're getting there, and this year we are expanding our operation a little bit. We are going more on spoken media, our YouTube channel, and we are reaching to the younger audience through Instagram as well. So uh, be ready because we are growing and happy to be here. Happy to share all that with you, man.
I was gonna ask, and yeah, and then people, some I forgot that the Arizona Fall League was still a thing. It's still much alive. Does that fall under the Baseball Cosmos umbrella there as well?
Well, no, because that's on this side, you
Okay, I
know.
gotcha. I gotcha.
There's and you know there's that the Arizona Fall League runs concurrent with like the last week of the series of the season. You know, sometimes the playoffs are going on. The MLB playoffs are going on.
Mm,
And for example, remember when the Cubs won and they sent Kyle Schwarber down there to get some ABs
that's right.
during that time.
Yeah.
So it's concurrent. I with the baseball season. So as soon as MLB stops, we pick up on the Baseball Cosmos and uh, we uh we bring you the best of the winter baseball leagues in the Caribbean.
So, you Baseball Cosmos, right? That's the name of your website. That's the name of the Facebook page. Are you, I think last I talked to you, you said you were working on a website. How's that going? Or is it still in progress? Is it live? What's going on
It's
there?
a it's in progress. It's in progress. We are it's and by we I mean me. So doing all I can to get it up and operational. But you know we're looking at launching it before the next because the Caribbean series starts here in a couple of weeks. We're hoping that by the next Winter League season we're up and going and uh you know we keep putting material there, but also if you want to read anything I write about about the Caribbean Winter Leagues, you can go to baseball101.com, and uh that is the website of the Puerto Rico League, the official stats of the Puerto Rico League, and I have
Okay.
a weekly column there that I catch everybody up in the Winter League. So
Oh,
while the
really?
Baseball Cosmos catches up, while the Baseball Cosmos catches up, then you can go to baseball101.com and read about my Caribbean series recap every Saturday is there. So,
Let's see. What was it called again? Baseball 101?
yes, baseball101.com.
Oh,
Baseball as in
I gotta Spanishize it.
Basbol. Yes, sir. You got to
Baseball
Spanishize it. Baseball
cien-
101.
101. Okay, there it is. Baseball home. I
Yeah.
should probably share this. Let me see. For those who don't know. Oh, wow. That looks pretty professional, I would say. Let's
Oh
see
yeah.
here.
That website, for those of you watching, that website is ran by Jorge Colon Delgado, who is the official statistician and historian of the Puerto Rico League.
Oh, okay.
He was very gracious to give me a column there, and you see where it says 101 Caribbean Winter Leagues recap. That is my little column right there. Every Saturday, there will be a column there, and it's in English, and I catch you up with what's going on in the winter leagues.
All right.
What
Yeah.
what 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 MLB players you can see, what prospects you can follow. They're all there.
Junior Caminero, our guy, and Gene
Oh, he's
Segura.
hitting. They're
Yeah,
hitting.
look at that.
Those guys, Leones del Escogido, they are powering themselves. into the, and their manager is Albert Pujols, by the way.
Right, right,
Albert
right.
Pujols is about to play in the his team is about to play in the Dominican finals if they keep going the way they're going. But it's really interesting there. If you click on my name up there, all the recaps are going to be there from all season, so
Oh
you can
man.
see and see which of your players, which of your favorite prospects were doing what in the Caribbean Series and the Caribbean Winter Leagues all
Because
through the winter.
that would be the main reason why Major League Baseball fans would have to check it. By the way, I did not realize you were doing all this at the moment. I thought you were just concentrating on baseball cards. I didn't realize you were on a website. So I must have missed a memo or something. This is
Oh
pretty
no,
cool,
it's all
man.
good, man.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's what that's to say
and
the least.
yeah, that's a good opportunity that came about there. So really excited to keep growing, keep expanding, and see where it takes us. You know.
Yeah, and I think I was gonna finish my thought was I think for a lot of Major League Baseball fans, the number one reason to check out the Caribbean World Series or the Winter Leagues in general is just to check how some of their prospect players for their favorite teams are doing. I see Harold Castro, not a prospect, but he's definitely been in the league for a while now. So I know who that guy is. And I think I might have heard of, was it Ildemaro Vargas? Ildem,
Ildemaro Vargas, yes, he used
Ildemaro
to play
Vargas.
for the Cubs.
Oh, that's, man, you know what it is, man? Is like the
Yeah.
older I get.
You remember Alfonso Rivas? He's also
Yeah.
tearing it apart. Isaac Paredes, he's playing in the winter in the playoffs right now. So,
Oh, okay.
very lot of MLB names are getting warmed up. So
Let's see what else. Christian Vasquez, the catcher. Fernando
Fernando Cruz
Cruz, the
also.
pitcher, right? The right-handed pitcher, I believe.
Yep, pitcher for Santurce. He plays for the Yankees now. So
Oh, wow. There you go. So that would be the reason, and not just the obviously prospects, but also some veteran players to see how they're
yeah, some
doing
veteran
as
players that they use the series to start getting warmed up and start show up with a little bit with like 3 or 4 extra weeks of work to spring training. Guys that are fighting for a roster spot could use that workout, and they use the Caribbean Series and the Winter Leagues to do that.
there's another name, Dwight Smith Jr. His dad used to play for the Cubs.
He
Um,
used to be a prospect, and he is tearing it apart for Culiacan this year.
Joey Meneses, Mexican, how would you say, corner infielder, first baseman,
First baseman.
DH,
He
DH.
used to play for the Nationals.
That's right. Yeah, we Sean and I when he got called up, we actually covered his first week in the majors or something to that effect, and he was just crushing the ball after
Oh
spending
yeah.
so much time in the minor leagues. The next thing I know, I go to the World Baseball Classic when what was that, 2023, I believe? Has it was that is that the
Yep,
last one?
23. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
23.
I went to Arizona and there he was on playing for Team Mexico and contributing in major ways. So you never know, man. You never know. These guys, they put in the work in the winter so they can be ready for the summer, and it's pretty cool to see. There's Felix Dubron. I know that guy. I don't know why, how I know him, but I know the name. I just don't know off the top of my head. I don't know what team he was with.
Boston. He used to play for Boston.
Jeez, man,
He used to play for the Red Sox.
this is
Hey,
pretty
but
cool.
guess what? Look what happened. You remember this guy Nelson Vasquez from he used to play for the Cubs, now plays for the Kansas City Royals.
Okay,
In the first 3 games of the semifinals, the guy hit uh in the first 4 games, the guy hit 6 home runs in the semifinals. He had 6 home runs and 4 RBI in the first 10 games of the semifinals. Nelson Vasquez. So he's in pretty good shape already. So don't be surprised if he breaks camp because right field is wide open for the Kansas City Royals.
yeah.
So he could definitely anchor himself in a good position there because he has a really good winter league season.
And you're talking
So
about
I'm
Nelson
looking forward to
Velasquez,
seeing.
right? You're talking about Nelson
Nelson,
Velasquez.
Nelson Velasquez.
Yeah,
Yes, Nelson Velasquez, not
that
Vasquez.
name
My
sounds
apologies.
familiar. I'm like
Yeah,
Nelson.
Nelson
That's it.
Velasquez.
I started questioning myself. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
Nelson Velasquez from he used to play for the Cubs and now plays for the Royals.
okay.
So I look for him to have a really good season this year because he's been tearing it apart this year.
Yeah, PJ Higgins, former Cub player. I know that guy. Uh, I think I've seen Kenny's Vargas before in passing. I know this guy.
Yes, he used to play. He's got that guy too, Vimael Machin. He used to play for Oakland. He's got MLB time on him.
You- Oh, yeah, it's a lot of like names that just they come and go, but they're still around. It's just that they're not playing here stateside at the moment.
And
They're
you know what? This is
overseas.
this is also this is also another reason why I chose to create the baseball cosmos is because everybody wants to tell the story of Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and that's perfectly great. But you know what? There's a lot of guys who put in 15, 20 years of playing baseball for a living, and you never hear about because they did it in these leagues, they did it in Japan, they did it in Korea. But these guys also have a great stories to tell, and they they have a great baseball journey. It just so happened that it didn't happen in MLB, but there's a lot to learn baseball wise from these gentlemen. And that's also another reason why I created Baseball Cosmos to tell their story, not just the story of Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and all those other superstars in MLB. There's a lot of guys that deserve their stories preserved in baseball history that did it in these leagues.
Yeah, it's kind of like similar to certain like basketball players. A lot of fans would just point at a former first round pick. Maybe he was picked number 8 overall, and he goes to the team and he does terribly, and he ends up not doing anything for that team. So everybody just proclaims him a bust, right? But what they don't know is that these players, they go to Europe, or they go to, well, not just Europe, but all over the world. They go to Taiwan, they go to China, they go to Venezuela, they go to Colombia, they go to all of these countries around the world who, I mean, the game is so global in terms of, I know I'm switching gears, but there's a point to my story here. But yeah, it's always cool to see like names that you recognize. Like, oh, that's what happened to that guy. I thought he retired because he couldn't make it with the Sacramento Kings. No, he played in Europe, and then he played in Turkey, and then he played in Saudi Arabia. As you know, Melvin, the Saudis are paying top dollar for any kind of talent.
They're paying top dollar for any sport, any talent, anything they can do.
Is
So
that league still around where they had the like Robinson Cano, I guess, and Bartolo Colon as like their superstar players? Is that
the Saudi league, it's in development, but
okay?
it gets really warm over there, so they're gonna have to build some stadiums that you can play indoors in, kind of like when they did the World Cup in Qatar.
No, bro,
But
they're gonna build a line. It's just gonna be one massive structure. They're gonna call it the line, but
it's
just
gonna
for
be the line.
baseball.
So
Yeah, just checking out some names here. There's Fernando
yeah,
Valenzuela
but
Trophy.
yeah, that's what the Mexico tournament,
Yeah,
the winner is going to have the Fernando Valenzuela trophy, La Serie de Mexico. So.
and is that
Um,
the is that like an individual trophy? Is that the it says league champion will be
The
awarded?
league champ that'll be how the baseball trophy is called the Commissioner's Trophy. The
Yeah,
championship trophy of the Mexican Winter League is called the Fernando Valenzuela Trophy.
that's cool, man. That's awesome, and I'm pretty sure that's recent, right? Because he just passed
Yeah, they
away.
just they just did it this year because we don't do nice things for people when they're alive and enjoy it. They have to do it when they pass because that's how we do things.
Oh,
So,
it's ridiculous, man. Don't get me started on that. Like when you get elected to the Hall of Fame, like guys like Ron Santo finally get elected to the Hall
ugh,
of Fame after
yeah, that
at
was
fir at first, I wasn't open
it
to
was
that idea.
bittersweet. It was
Uh,
bittersweet. Yes,
well, at
I
first I wasn't open to that idea, but then you hear from his peers during that time. They talked about him so glowingly. Uh, MLB Network usually has like these shows about the history of baseball. They always mention Ron Santo as one of the greatest third basemen of all time, as one of the greatest players who played in the '60s of all time. And he gets all these accolades, the numbers speak for themselves, especially at that position. And then that's when I started changing my mind. Like, hey, wait a minute, why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? Let's get him in right now. I mean, he has the accolades. He has his peers talk about him glowingly. He was part of the greatest stretch of Cubs history during that time. Let's go and do it. And then he passes away. And like you said, it was bittersweet. But it's like, yeah, why wait until the guy no longer is with us? That should have been his moment for him to shine in Cooperstown, but he's not the only one, by the way. There's so many players. I mean,
No,
Dick
no, no.
Allen,
That is that
Dick
is that
Allen
is
himself.
something that is something that human beings are expert on. They they wait until people are gone to honor them, and well, that's and for better or worse, because that's the purpose, right? That's the purpose is to so the future generations can know who Fernando Valenzuela is. So now they're gonna know every time the trophy's lifted, they'll know. I mean, people in Mexico, they consider him the GOAT. They consider him the greatest Mexican player ever.
Yeah.
So now he is in his name is engraved in that trophy forever, and that was a good thing, that it happened. So it's a really good moment for the Mexican League, of course.
Uh, so trying to switch gears here. So we talked about all over the world, but the big one is, and for selfish reasons, we got to talk about some of these players who people would know about who are currently playing in the winter leagues. Off the top of your head, is there anybody that sticks out that are doing pretty well in the winter leagues, and you just think to yourself, "Oh, I can't wait to see
I'm gonna throw
what he does in MLB this year."
I-
Go ahead.
I'm gonna throw some names at you. I'm gonna throw Luis Angel Acuna.
Yes.
Luis Angel Acuna hit 337 in 40 games. And the Venezuela league is a pretty competitive league. Luis Angel Acuna looks ready to step into MLB. He looks. I don't know what they're gonna do with him because they got Lindor there for like 5 or 6 more years.
Yeah.
But they Luis Angel Acuna needs a spot, and they need. I don't know. Maybe they trade him for Vladdy. I don't know. That's another conversation for Mets fans to have. But Luis Angel Acuna is tearing the ball apart. Him, and I'm gonna give you another one from the Venezuela league, and it's a guy that's a White Sox, and you're gonna know him, Lenin Sosa.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
coming. He's looking like he's really finding his stride in Venezuela. So from the Venezuela league, um, Luis Angel Acuna and Lenin Sosa, they look like they're coming up. And I think Acuna, if you their numbers are on Baseball Reference, by the way. If you're gonna the Winter League numbers, they're
Really? I
gonna be
didn't
in
know that.
Baseball Reference. If you yeah, the Winter Leagues are in Baseball Reference, man.
I did not
They
know that.
uh
No.
they and Acuna hit 337. Sosa had a really good year. Another guy from the Dominican League, Ronnie Mauricio,
Yes.
he's coming.
He does.
He's coming.
So he's
If
healthy
you
finally.
hit over there where it says Winter League stats right there, if you hit that button right there
Yeah.
and you go down
Yep. It's loading.
other way, keep going.
Oh, there it
It's
is.
okay. There it is. There's the 31 games. That was his season. 31 games, 337, 914 on base. He's 7 years younger than the average player in the league. So
Yes.
he's hitting some big league pitchers. So don't be surprised if this kid makes the 40-man roster out of spring training, and they got to figure something out because he's a shortstop. Am I correct?
I
And
think
the
he
Mets
can.
have a shortstop. So
Yeah, I talked about this on the last podcast when I was looking for deep sleepers, and his name showed up at one of the infield positions. And during that time, Roster Resource had him among the 25 players to make the opening day roster. But, as you know, anything can happen between now and spring training and the beginning of the season. They might
well,
decide,
well, the Mets need to figure something out with second base because who
yeah,
they have there, McNeil.
McNeil. And that's
He,
one
he
of the,
did not have a good year last year, so
no,
who
that he did
knows?
not.
Maybe Luis Angel Acuna sneaks by and takes over. McNeil is signed, so I don't know what they're gonna do with him. But
Yeah.
this kid is tearing the ball apart. Like you see him play, and again, these are things that I know people hate saying that the stat sheet doesn't tell the whole story, but you
The,
can see when a player is locked in, and this kid was locked in all winter long in Venezuela. So the Mets may have found a good problem to have here with Luis Angel Acuna.
Yeah, and that's what I talked about on the last podcast. The final episode of this of season 5 was, if you're the Mets, there's plenty of ways for Luis Angel Acuna, to be getting regular at bats. Whether he plays third base and Mark Vientos moves to first base, or he could play shortstop and give Francisco Lindor a break, or he becomes your undisputed second baseman. I mean, how hard is it to beat out Jeff McNeil, who, yeah, there's value in a guy who makes a lot of contact and is scrappy and works the count, but this Acuna's your future. He's 22 years old, and he's just an
And
explosive player. Like the upside's
Well,
there.
McNeil last year did not do himself any favors going into his 33 year.
Yeah.
The thing with McNeil is that he is signed until 26.
Well,
So, and I don't know who's going to be willing to take on him. So that's why I said the Mets may have a good problem to have here because I'm telling you, man, Acuna, he looks the part this year. So
I'm
we
excited.
shall
That's why
see.
I'm super excited for Acuna. That's why I mentioned him on the deep sleepers episode of season 5 because I saw his name and I saw the rest of the names that were around him and that I guess it was second base position, and he just stood out like he's the best player of that bunch. And why is he being drafted so late when it looks like things are about to happen for him this upcoming. This might be his breakout year, but again, you got a veteran like Jeff McNeil. Yeah, he did bad last year, but you know what? He might he he's still more polished for better or for worse. He's still more polished. And he's a utility guy. He can play anywhere. Jeff McNeil can, and you know how
McNeil has
teams love that.
also
I'm sorry, what?
McNeil has also earned the right to lose that job. So
That's where I was going
I
with.
mean,
Yes.
there's much more to managing a baseball team
Mm,
than, hey, you're doing badly. This kid's out. You're in. This kid's in. You're out. This is a company, just like the regular 9 to 5s. There's you got to manage personalities. You got to manage your veterans a certain type of way. I'm not saying, hey, Carlos Mendoza is just going to scratch Jeff McNeil out and put him up on left field and give this new kid Acuna second base. I'm saying that if I don't know, but if Father Time has come knocking on Jeff McNeil's door, the Mets may have an answer and they may not have to look too far from it for it.
Another avenue. I mean, Starling Marte is listed as a designated hitter here. Marte's not been looking too good the last year or so. So maybe Luis Angel can take some at bats at DH, or maybe McNeil can take some at bats at DH, or Nemo can take at bats at DH. McNeil can go to left field, and then Acuna can go to second base. That's the thing about a guy like Acuna who's so athletic. He can play anywhere. I'm not sure about outfield, but I know that he can play a lot of the infield positions. So
Man, man, listen,
that's another way in. Go
these
ahead.
kids, they can play anywhere. Like the way that the academies are prioritizing uh utility, being because these contracts that are being handed out right now, you're a shortstop, you're going to be blocked by somebody.
Yeah.
So you need the ability to be called up in the majors, to be called up to the majors, and they've been told, just like they tell you in MLB The Show, hey, Jose Ramirez is blocking you, man. Are you going to move to center field? And the kid's going to say, absolutely. What's he going to say? No, I'll wait for JRM to retire. That's not going to happen, or I'll wait for the superstar to retire. That's not going to happen. They're going to take their shot, and they're gonna try and see if they're a fit in the outfield. So and that's a good problem to have. So
And it looks like he's been seeing some, not a lot, but enough time at center field in the winter leagues. Last year, he played 31 games at AAA in center field, so that's definitely another option. Uh,
he
Unfortunately for
he
him,
did play mostly shortstop, I believe,
uh,
in the winter leagues.
yes, there it is,
He-
shortstop,
he-
26 games started.
the legs are there, and you know what? He's 22. I'm sorry, Jeff McNeil has a really short leash this year because
No,
if I'm Jeff McNeil, I would show up early to camp this year. I'm telling you that right now.
oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure he will. I mean, he's a hard worker. There's a reason why Jeff McNeil's still in the league. But yeah, I mean, this looks like this just screams breakout season for Luis Angel Acuna. So I'm definitely I'm on the same page as you are. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Who was the other player you mentioned? Ronnie Mauricio, but there was another player you mentioned that kind of.
I mentioned Lennon Sosa
Oh yes,
from
Lennon Sosa.
the White Sox.
Yeah,
He uh he was looking pretty good this year. I think he saw some major league time last year, but
I think so too.
he looked the part. He looked the part in the Venezuela league.
Okay,
Uh
let
he uh
go ahead.
he, he was playing for Caracas
Okay,
and he played 25 games, 392 batting average, which for a winter league that's just amazing. 451 on base, 765 slugging. So, and again, the guy's 24 years old. He may be breaking out. He may be coming up. So I really like what I saw from Lennon Sosa this year. Any job in the White Sox is up for grabs. I mean, I think the White Sox right now are in the spot where any job with them is up for grabs. So Lennon Sosa should be in a really good position to break camp with the team this year. And what I saw from him, OPS of 1.216 in 25 games in Caracas, he's coming up.
9 home runs, 26 RBI. How many stolen bases? Oh, one stolen base. I thought he was a base stealer, but I guess not. Lennon
Well,
Sosa. Go
they
ahead.
are really like in the winter leagues when they see a kid that's a prospect, they did the same thing with Edric Felix in Puerto Rico. They have him stay put because they're afraid of these injuries. But
Yeah,
they just want to see the swing and the power, man. And nine
that's
home
right.
runs in 25 games, he
Yeah.
was swinging it.
There is a clear path for Lennon Sosa. Do I have him on my spreadsheet? I gotta make sure. I know when I saw the White Sox roster, I just saw all I saw was hot garbage. It's such trash, but
I'm saying everybody is up for grabs. If you are a double A or triple A player in the White Sox organization, you could be up this year.
for fantasy
You could,
purposes,
you could be up this year.
Lennon Sosa does qualify, should qualify at both second base and third base. He does have a clear path to second base and maybe any other infield position that he can handle. As the White Sox are just, they don't have much of anything.
If you
It's,
are a double A or a triple A player in the White Sox system, you have a chance. Go for it, buddy.
I,
You have an opportunity this year.
I
Go
do
for it.
have 5 hitters on the White Sox organization on my unfinished prospect rankings. 'Cause I've only done 6 teams. I've done the bottom 6 teams and run differential last year, and I got up all the way to the Nationals. And 5 White Sox players did show up just because of how thin the major league roster is for the Chicago Southside team. And that's keep an eye on Colson Montgomery, Kyle Teal, Edgar Quero, Chase, I can't pronounce that name, Maidroth, and
Megaroth. Yep.
Brian Ramos, who's perpetually on these prospect lists for the White Sox. Maybe this is the year he gets it together. But yeah, 5 is the most on anybody of those 6 teams. And those 6 teams are the Rockies, the Marlins, the Angels, and the Nationals. So the White Sox are looking good for next year with that young core that's coming. But it's gonna be some growing pains. We're not saying that they're gonna make this team into a contender because that's not how baseball works. But yeah, the fact that Lennon Sosa has been tearing it apart in the winter leagues is more promising than not. So we'll see if he can put it together um, for this upcoming season with the White Sox. Uh,
And
Go ahead.
for entertainment purposes, I'm gonna give you one more name.
Go ahead.
And this guy is from the Mexican League. And the reason I'm going to give you this name is because number one, I want to see what this guy's going to do because his name is Reiva Garcia. Spell his name is Reivaj Garcia. It's Javier backwards. Okay. And I am waiting. Reivaj.
Yeah, I got to do it this way. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's
But the
unique. Go
thing is,
ahead.
obviously his dad's name was Javier. And I am waiting for this kid to make it into the major leagues because I want Michael Kay to remind us every single time of how this kid got his name, that is Javier backwards, because he never let off with the story that Nomar Garcia Parra's dad gave him his name Ramon backwards. He never let off through all of Nomar's career. At least once the series that the Yankees and Boston played, Michael Kay would remind everybody that Nomar was Ramon backwards. And I cannot wait until this kid makes it to the major leagues. By the way, he's in the Cub system. I think he's a second baseman in the Cub system.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait until this kid makes it to the major leagues so Michael Kay can remind Vincent Henry every single time that his name is Javier backwards.
Yeah, he plays second base, third base, almost equally last season for South Bend in High A for the Cubs, and then some shortstop, some first
He's
base. So
been
yeah,
up to AAA. He's been in AAA before.
oh yeah, right here.
Yeah,
Back in
he's been in AAA before. He's right up there.
I see that now. Oh yeah, he did make it to Iowa. Look at that. There's
Yeah.
where he primarily plays second base.
Ray Ve. Ray Ve
Oh,
Garcia. That's his name.
oh,
So
I see.
this kid could come up because who knows? What if Matt Shaw? Everybody's taking Matt Shaw as a sure thing, and you know what? He's looking really good. But that's how it always works with baseball, right? You know, kids that look really good, they always
Yeah.
pan out, right? So. Ryvan Garcia, he's got a chance because who knows? Maybe Matt Shaw doesn't pan out, and the Cubs still have a hole on third base they haven't plugged. So
Let's take a look at that really quick. But yeah, the Cubs, they
the
could,
Cubs have a huge hole in third base they have not plugged, and
yeah.
I was hoping that by now they had at least talked an extension with Kyle Tucker. That's not going to happen, of course, but one could dream, of course.
That would be nice, but yeah, they could use a lot more help, is what I'm gonna say. Michael
But I
Bush,
think yeah, Matt Shaw is slated as the opening day third baseman.
yeah,
It looks like they're going to try to run with him.
yeah,
Hey, that's a good gamble, but what if?
yeah.
So
It would look a
you
lot
never know.
better if he was coming off the bench and you had an established veteran, and then
That's how they
match
did it with Chris Bryant. They had I think Mike Holt for like the first
Oh
few
my
few weeks.
that's
Remember Mike Holt? Yeah,
unfortunately, I
they had a
remember
little
things.
bit they had a little bit of that for a little bit, and then they kind of eased him up.
And
But
I
it's a
say
tough.
on
That's a tall order on a kid. You're gonna
yeah,
tell a kid, hey, we moved the guy that's won an MVP because he didn't want to play first base, and we kept this guy who was a top prospect in the Dodgers organization, and we gave him first base because we're going to give you third base, and we're going to pass on Bregman, and we're going to pass on Alonso, and moving that guy from first and give you third. That's a tall order, so I really hope Matt Shaw is up for it.
yeah, something tells me he's not. So that's why I would have preferred a veteran third baseman. It's the same issue with Nick Madrigal when he's coming with the White Sox. Yeah, I like the idea of him. You give him the job at second base, and it's all fine and it's all fine and stuff. But you're a contending team. You probably could use a veteran second baseman just because is the rookie ready? And I don't think he was, and then he got hurt, and that ended up being his whole career. He's always hurt, so which is
And not to
unfortunate.
not, not to mention for the Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong is not a finished product yet.
No, no,
So he is not nowhere near an offensive product. He is not. Uh, so he is all of what should be a major league defensive outfielder, but offensively, he's not a finished product. And the reason I say that is because you can't win a division in April, but you can sure lose it. And you get these kids going through growing pains all at the
yeah,
same time, you may dig yourself into a hole that you can't get out of.
yeah. This lineup doesn't scare me whatsoever, except for Kyle Tucker. But and Seiya Suzuki, yeah, I like that combination at the top of the order. But everything else, you need help. You need more. And the third
They
base
need it.
definitely is
I
the
think
hole
they need
there.
it. They needed to plug that hole in third base.
Yeah, or first.
That's what I think. I think they needed to either get a first baseman and move Thompson to third, or get a third baseman and leave not Thompson, Bush. Leave Bush at Get a first baseman and move Bush to third, or get a
Yeah,
third baseman and keep Bush in first. I think that's what they should have done. Then maybe ease up Matt Shaw but we'll see. That's why we're back here and not there. Hopefully they prove
yeah,
me wrong, and Matt Shaw is the rookie of the year, and they all the Cubs players have breakout seasons because that's
yeah.
normally how it works, right?
That's
But
progress is linear. Sure,
um,
why not?
but
Fuck
but
it.
point is, if Matt Shaw, if and I hope not, obviously, but this is how it happens. If Matt Shaw is has some growing pains, then there is a way for Ryve Garcia, who is the guy we're talking about, could come up with the Cubs and make some damage. And another guy that the Cubs have that also could come up and make some damage is Luis Vasquez, who came up last year. He had an okay season in Puerto Rico. He was seeing the ball, hitting the ball really well. So, but again, linear progress. We're waiting on it. So it's a tough order to wait on linear progress. So,
No,
um,
it's because it doesn't exist, man. Up. I mean, ask the White Sox. If progress was linear, they would have won the World Series already, but they didn't, and they all declined in a hurry. Bunch of mid 20-year-olds just declining all at the same time, and I mean,
yeah, that White Sox collapse was ugly. I'm not gonna lie, man. That was pretty ugly.
it's
So
very disappointing. Because yeah, you know what? Don't get me started. And I warn White Sox fans, like, no, no. If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, you have to go out there and start plugging in holes and just buying up every player that you can. Oh, but they did enough. Their payroll's so high now. They're in the top 10. And like you want to win something or no? I mean, you're just making excuses for Jerry Reinsdorf at this point. And, and sure enough, that's what happened. Anyway,
And then every Sox fan except for you and Ricky V disappeared.
I'm here for this past year was trying, man. I almost did the I was this close to just giving away my White Sox. You know what? Maybe everybody's right. Maybe I should just stick to being a Cubs fan and forget the White Sox. And they're gonna move anyway. They're gonna move to Nashville, so Melvin can have a team to root for. But
Right.
but no, I can't help it, man. It's like because you guys, the biggest criticism against me is Felipe. You say you like both teams. Come on, you like one more than the other one, right? And no, I've gone to the point where I kind of like them equally. I like what both of those teams bring to the table. I like like their history, and although for the White Sox, it's kind of blacked out, if you know what I mean. 1919,
Oof.
or yeah. Yeah. When one of your favorite teams is known for throwing a World Series, it's something you can't come back from.
Well, the good thing is that that's the second worst season that they've ever had now.
Yeah,
That's the second worst. That's the second worst thing to happen in Chicago baseball history now.
yeah, but the point is, they last year I was this close to just giving up, but no, I just keep coming back, and they always give me a reason to come back. Well, not, I'm hopeful that their farm system can, you know, bring some fruits to their labor, so to speak, and be the next core and start this process over again. It's not looking too good, but like I said, I have five players that I'm excited to see this upcoming season from that minor league system. So we'll see. And they just made that big trade with Boston to replenish it some more. So I think I'm this close to turning that arrow upside down at guaranteed rate field, which I think now is just known as rate field, right? Is that what it's called now?
Yes, I believe they changed their name, and I think the big joke was that company didn't want anything to do with that team anymore after
Oh
last season.
Lord.
But um, you know,
It's what a mess.
there's gonna be better days in Chicago baseball, man. There's got to be. They can't all be that bad because things up north they're slightly better, but they're not all that much better. I mean, you have a top 10 player, but we the Cubs have not done anything to replenish what I mean, it's like the Cubs do that one move every year and then they stop. Like last year they signed the most overpaid manager of all time. They stopped. And this
Oh,
year they swing a top 10 player because Kyle Tucker, when healthy, is a top 10 player. Dude,
yeah,
and then you take him to arbitration over 2 million bucks.
yeah, yeah.
I think 2 million bucks is what the Ricketts family wastes on lawn ornaments every year.
And that's what they waste on campaign donations.
That's what they give. That's what the governor buddy of Nebraska the gives campaign donors but donations. But you're gonna take the best player that your franchise has had in a long time. Because when was the last time the Cubs had a top 10 player in the league? Chris Bryant. When they had Chris Bryant, right? And then
Yeah,
he
you could
fell
say
off
that. Yeah,
quick.
and then
Then he fell off quick, and I know
yeah,
he got hurt, and some things just didn't work out. But the Cubs haven't had a top 10 player in the league in a very, very long time. And now you're gonna take him to arbitration over 2 million bucks. And yeah, to me and you, 2 million bucks sound like a lot of money, but come on, you can't take this guy to arbitration. What are you gonna say against him? Like, what what are you helped us by being unhealthy for another team? You were not on the field for another team.
and
Like
and not just
that's
that.
what gets me about the arbitration process, man. Don't
Oh,
get me started
it's
on the
bad.
arbitration process in MLB. It's ridiculous
It's bad.
because that is a prime example right there. The Cubs are going to take a guy to arbitration that wasn't even with them last year. He was hurt half the year, and when he was available, he was better than any other guy the Cubs had out there last year. What can you say about this guy that's going to justify you underpaying him for 2 million bucks? Nothing. You can't say anything about him. You're gonna sour the relationship. Then you're
Mhm.
gonna be crying that he's asking you for 500 million over 10 years. So
And that's the other thing.
there's just no winning.
And that's the other thing. You got to make sure you extend this guy because if you don't, that this is
This guy is gonna command over 500 million in the
yeah.
free agent market. He
And,
he's not gonna get the six Soto guy because he's a little older.
right,
But he
28.
is gonna he's gonna be 28. He's not 31 like Judge was.
Yeah,
He's gonna be 28, and now there's DHs everywhere.
yeah,
So this guy's gonna get 550 at the very minimum. He's gonna get 550. He's gonna get his 550. So
yeah.
for the sake
Otherwise,
of argument, even though if let's say he balks at it, for the sake of argument, the Cubs would have been like, "Hey, 450. What if he takes it? Oh man, you got a franchise player now. You got a good problem now. 450." But no, the Cubs are not gonna do that.
no, that and then that brings up another question. What was the point then? What was the point of doing this? You don't trade for
Saying
a
that
guy.
we're trying. Saying that we're
You
trying.
know what? Yeah, we joke, but that might be it right there. We got seats to fill. It's still a prime location, a prime tourist destination, but we got to
Well,
make sure we give the people what they want and
well,
just
and that may be what because teams are realizing putting together a baseball dynasty is all but attainable these days. It is because it's what it is. Uh, the next base. What was the last baseball dynasty? I think what the Giants going 3-5. That was a mini dynasty, and
mini dynasty. Yeah.
even then they had core players. Posey, and they had Sandoval, they had Baumgartner, they had some core players, but they were a lot of there were three different teams. Those three teams that won in 10, 12, and 14, there were three different teams. You're never going to find through a team that goes back on a dynasty that looks the same again because that's just not how the game is played. Every star player is going to have opt-outs in their seasons and their contracts. So that's just not how it works anymore. So but you have to. This may be what teams start doing. The Cubs were afraid. The Cubs' most expensive contract is still Jason Hayward's, right?
I'm not surprised. I'm not
So
surprised.
the Cubs still don't have a $200 million player. The Cubs, the third largest market in the country.
Well, I thought the White Sox were the cheap team, and then Chicago. I guess it's
So
yeah.
the Cubs still don't have a $200 million player. I'm sorry to tell you, but Kyle Tucker is going to cost twice that much.
Yeah,
So
and rightfully
if they
so.
want to hold on to Tucker, they're going to have to open up their wallets and do something.
I do see Alexander Canario. Oh wait, he was with the Giants, right? I thought he was part of the Yu Darvish trade, but I guess not. Never mind. But yeah, he's listed there. Vidal Brujan.
Vidal
Uh,
Brujan, he had a decent season in the Winter League this year.
oh okay, and he kind of had a little mini comeback last year with the Marlins. But yeah, basically a
He's
burnout
a
for the
fourth outfield, fifth infielder, I would
yeah
say.
yeah yeah utility guy at this point of his
No
career.
utility guy. Jonathan Herrera, I remember that guy. That's kind of he
Yes.
reminds me of.
But that's the rest of the team. Nate Pearson, former top prospect, now bullpen flamethrower. So we'll see if that benefits the Cubs this upcoming season. But yeah, this is just quickly scanning through the
You know,
minor league system here. Go ahead.
I keep jumping from one league to another, but since you asked me for these guys that people will know, I know we have a lot of people who hear about the Yankees. The Yankees have a guy that won the batting title in the Dominican League, the Dominican Winter League. His name is JC Escara, and he's a catcher. And he is in the 40-man roster for the Yankees. And that guy has an open path because he's a catcher that can hit. And he won the batting title. He hit 365 in the Dominican League. I think it was the last catch, one of the first catcher in a very long time that won a batting title. The Yankees, I mean, there he is right there, JC
Yeah.
Escara. Um, he's from Florida, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this guy can hit. There's a path there because I don't know what happens that the Yankees and catchers they have an all-star year and then they fall. You know, the
No way,
Yankees
man. Austin
they
Wells
have
is the answer. Austin
the
Wells is the
Yankees,
answer.
yeah, and 2 years ago it was Jose Trevino,
Oh, we knew
and
he
then
was
it
a
was Kyle Higashioka, and now it's Austin Wells. So, but this dude, he can hit. Last year he hit for in he made it to Triple A. He had a really
yes.
good WOBA in Triple A, I believe. Yeah, 409 Wilbur in AAA. That's
Yep.
not too shabby. WRC plus of 142. See, I'm speaking your language, man. Come on. I'm not old school. I'm not all old school, But point
Uh,
is, this guy, JC Escarra, he won the batting title in the Dominican League, and he can rake. So if the Yankees are looking for a big bat, this guy may come out of nowhere. He has an invitation to spring training, so he may come out of nowhere and give some really good DH at bats.
let's see here. What happened? I see that there's a 3 year gap there where he was not, I guess he wasn't Major League Baseball affiliated, or maybe he retired or something. Yeah, let me show you again. Where was it? It was right here. So he was with the Orioles in 2021, and then
He
after
went
that
independent league, I believe.
he was in oh, I see.
He was in
Okay.
the independent league. He was in the independent league.
Yeah.
But there he is, right there, 24.
Wow. Yeah, 'cause he's 29 years old now. Well, he'll be 30 by the time April 24th comes around. His birthday's in April. Here we go.
I'm
What
telling
was
you, man, it
here? Right here.
363.
363 batting average, 3 home runs.
He had a pretty decent last year. The combined Double A and Triple A last year. Had
He
a
did.
really decent
Yes.
season there. So
Yeah. That's what the Yankees need. They need more depth on their team, right? So let's talk about it. Where is the path? Austin Wells is the guy. Let's just put it out there. So, but obviously there's going to be room. Looks like he could play a little bit of corner infield as well. So what does that mean?
yeah,
Third
he's played first
base.
base before.
Who's at first base? Paul Goldschmidt. We don't know what to expect from him. I think people are more
You still
optimistic.
got a glove on him. He's still got a glove on him.
I think people are optimistic about him as well, with the bat. So I think he can improve on his numbers last year. His at least his batting
And
slash line.
I'm always giving grief to this statistic, but Paul Goldschmidt, I think there was a video that showed that like 10 outs last year that he hit at home would have been out in Yankee Stadium. That would have been home runs. And I know I always give grief to people, but when they use that statistic, because that statistic is a little inconsequential to me, but hey, maybe it gives hope to the Yankee fans because they look like they would have been out in Yankee Stadium. So
Yeah.
you get an
So
800 OPS from a Paul Goldschmidt and Gold Glove defense. That's about as good as it can get from at this point in his career.
and then if anything, JC Escarra might get called up later in the year and spell him every once in a while. DH is
Maybe
Giancarlo Stanton at DH. You know he's gonna get hurt. So
maybe
I
there's
just
a
saw
there's a path there.
I just saw our friend Gabe said that, hey, if he gets to 500 home runs, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, man, that's great.
Uh,
That's fantastic. One-dimensional players in the Hall of Fame. Why not? Why not? There's plenty of them in there already. F it.
hey
F
man,
it.
look, it's a new era. I'm always told not every Hall of Famer is brought the same way. And at the end of the day, Giancarlo Stanton over Harold Baines. So, you know, I mean, you're always gonna have that. Whenever you hear a game, whenever you hear a name that you don't agree with, is like, would I rather have that person than Harold Baines in my team? And Giancarlo Stanton does have an MVP. So
That's right. With the Marlins, was it? The
the
Marlins?
Marlins, yes, 58 home runs.
That's right.
So
And then third base, Osvaldo Cabrera, although that's another Yankee former top prospect that they're kind of waiting on. Remember these?
they're waiting on him, but he's already 25.
Yeah, it's about
So
26, really. Osvaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza, sorry. Remember, these are
Peraza,
two play and Jason Dominguez as well. Three players that the Yankees refused to trade away because that was their future. While they were trying to battle out the Astros, I know the Astros got caught cheating and stuff, but whatever. Instead of like what the Cubs, we were complaining about the Cubs not willing to make big time moves outside of hiring their manager. But the Yankees, between those three players, those were, you can't touch these players in any trade because that's our future. But you guys are
that was,
competing.
I think that's what held off the Castillo deal. That when
Probably.
I think like 3 or 4 years ago when they were going after Castillo, I think Cincinnati wanted one of these guys, and they said no. They
That
they did not want to move one of these three guys, and they ended up getting Frankie Montas. And hello, Vince, that's for you. So
Yeah, and they had to give up their pitching prospects instead, which that shows you what Brian Cashman's was thinking about. And I remember that Sean and I we got into this huge argument about that whole trade. I didn't think I thought it was inconsequential, and sure enough, all those prospects that the Yankees traded away, just a bunch of guys, they're roster fillers. Or what JP Sears, he doesn't scream ace at. When I see JP Sears, I'm not afraid of him. Same thing with Ken Valdachuk, and there was another guy. Was it Luis Matos, maybe?
I
Anyway,
believe it was Luis Matos. Yes.
yeah, I mean, inconsequential trade. I mean, I know it didn't work out for the Yankees, but I mean, you gotta at least give your team a chance to go for it. You decided not to trade these three players, and I look at you; they're barely starting. Cabrera's gonna have to share time with someone. Oswald Peraza can't find his way into a starting lineup, and who knows if Jason Dominguez is healthy or if he's ever gonna be playing to his lofty expectations. Remember, this guy was supposed to be the next Mike Trout.
Yeah, Jason Dominguez. I recall one time about 5 years ago, I was at a card show, and one of Jason Dominguez's one out of one cards was going for $5,000, and the
Yeah.
kid had not even made his debut yet.
Oh
There
man.
were some lofty, and I know that had to do with the market back then as well when it comes to memorabilia and collectors, but there were some heavy expectations for this kid, and 21 years old. For all we know, he could still end up in the Hall of Fame. But Cabrera and Peraza need to start putting their foot in the pedal for sure.
Yeah, because this is what I'm talking about. This is why when oh you can't trade away your prospect. These prospects aren't doing anything for you. And hell, Melvin's getting
One of the three,
go
all
ahead.
three of them are not going to pan out. You
Not
have to
yeah,
move one.
one of
All
them.
three. When is the last time that you have four prospects in one team and all four of them panned out?
The Cubs, 2016. You have Baez, Bryant, Rizzo, and Schwarber there, and Happ if you want to include him into the mix as well. Ian Happ. So yeah, it can work. It doesn't work for the Yankees apparently. But
I
yeah,
mean,
and now they got other prospects that are coming up. You just mentioned one, although he's not a prospect, he's more like a late bloomer, so to speak. But yeah, now we're talking about him. He's in the 40-man roster. You're gonna have to make a decision on him soon. JC Escarra, the guy you just mentioned. Ben Rice is still on the team, and he actually did produce in spurts during certain times of his call-ups. So at least he has of a track record there. Oh my God, they still got Everson Pereira. Oh, and you got and Spencer Jones
oh
is on
my
the Triple A.
goodness, Spencer Jones is still there.
Yeah, he's yeah. Oh, Brendan Davis. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh
Brendan.
yes, I do recall they did give him a minor league deal. I really hope it pans out for that kid because, you know, injuries are just not fair, man.
No, they're not.
Injuries,
uh,
injuries are just not fair. I hate injuries, but they're part of the game. But
that's what I kept telling Cub
I
fans.
hate it
Hey,
because
I kept telling Cub fans. Remember, we got into a little bit of controversy with the Cub fans in baseball life, and one guy in particular who kind of rage quit, so to speak. And then we were accused of not doing right by him. But this is what I was talking about. Just because you have all these hotshot prospects that they're not, it doesn't mean they're going to reincarnate into Bias, Bryant, Rizzo, and Schwarber. Brennan Davis was the number one guy for the Cubs, and back problems derailed his career there. And now he's trying to bounce back with the Yankees.
I
So,
really hope it works out for him and Ed Howard because I like those kids. But it's a very unfair and cruel game, you know. But back to the subject at hand, there is a pathway there because the Yankees are depending highly on three unproven players there.
yeah. And
And
somehow they're still going to be favorites, by the way, in the AL.
somehow they will, and that's perfectly fine because they're going to end up playing an AL Central team at the end. So, but fact of the matter is, there is a path there for my guy JC Escarra to find a way to hit a couple balls. I mean, if Mike Carpenter found a way to come back, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because if you
Yes.
can hit, you can, and if you're a lefty hitter, you can hit in that stadium. That he could do something there. So,
Yep.
of all these, you win a biting title in that league. That league is AAA pitching. So who knows? Maybe we get to see my guy over here soon.
What do you look forward to the most in this upcoming season? It could be real baseball, fantasy baseball, or maybe something personal as an individual who's trying to, set your mark on this game as a journalist. Would you even consider yourself a journalist? Is that even a word to use nowadays? I don't know. You tell me. But what are you looking
I'm
forward
a
to? Go ahead.
I consider myself a writer,
There,
but
oh, okay, yeah, there.
it's writer, journalist, potato, tomatoes, content creator.
Okay.
I said potato, tomatoes, get it? But I really want to see how the game keeps evolving,
Yeah.
and I want to see how robot umps do in AAA.
Mm.
They're coming. They're coming to AAA. I know people aren't 100% sold on them. I've been to a game with robot umps. You can't even tell they're there.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been to a Chattanooga Lookouts game with robot umps. You can't even. I don't think they used it but one time, and it took 2 seconds. And if you don't like it, it's coming. Get ready. I'll be right there in Nashville reporting on it. I'm also looking forward to see how Soto does because
Yeah.
this guy has some expectations now. He brought them all upon himself. He went to New York because they wouldn't give him a suite on the other side of New York or whatever. So now he is going to have to justify. I want to see what kind of numbers he can put up. And all banter aside, I know I talk a lot of smack to the Mets fans, but they're really loyal. They're really loyal fans. We have some really good Met fans. If it's not us, it should be them. But I want to see how Soto does with all the expectations. I want to see if Mark Vientos is for real. I want to see these
Yeah.
uh these these winter league guys. One of them is going to come up. I want to see how Jackson Churio. If I always look forward to see the encore from the rookies. I
Yeah.
want to see. I want to
Yeah.
see how the rookies do. That's one of the things I look forward to the most uh, in the new baseball season is can the rookies do it again?
Is there a
Corbin
rookie?
Carroll, Corbin Carroll. He had a tough time in his encore year.
Yeah. I think he was.
Julio Rodriguez
Don't
had a
remind me.
really rough year last year. I want to see because that is the difference between and every single player that I talk to tells me it's a lot easier to make it than to stay.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Is there a
It's not me.
second year player you're looking forward to seeing more than others?
I want to see Merrill.
You want to
I
see
want to
more of
see
Merrill,
Jackson.
huh?
I want to see more Jackson Merrill. I want to see how he follows up. I want to see how he follows up. I really like him, and I really like Gunner. I really
Gunnar.
like Gunner. I want to see if Gunner can take that next step and put that that team on his back and win that MVP.
He's gonna have
Because
to. Yeah, he's gonna have to.
I think the Orioles are not going to do anything unless this kid puts a 10 WAR season.
Oh
Like
God.
it's not it's
Which
not. I don't think it's Rushman. The answer. I think it's him, and he's going to
which
have to. And the Orioles are going to have to figure something out before this kid leaves.
yeah, and that's
But I want to.
ironic. That is
I want to
so
see how I
ironic.
want to see how he I want to see how he does and see if he can win that MVP. The only way the Orioles do any noise is if this kid puts that team on his back.
Which is ironic because that was the whole point of having all these top prospects on this team was it wasn't going to be one guy that's supposed to carry this team. It's supposed to be a collection. The Jackson Holidays, the Jordan Westbergs, the Kobe Mayos to a lesser extent, and then
And I
Kobe.
want to see if Jackson Holiday,
Yeah,
Jackson Holiday, he looked a little overmatched at times last year.
yeah, it
We'll
might have.
see. We'll see how he reacts. Maybe his old man took him back to the backyard and did some drills with him over the winter. I don't know.
And
Uh,
remember, this is an
but
Orioles team that kind of
yeah,
was hesitant to make any trades of any kind last year. So, I mean, we just talked about the Yankees, and we just criticized Brian Cashman falling too in love with his prospects. Well, the Orioles have a little bit of that problem as well. And now they don't have Corbin Burns. For better or for worse, Corbin Burns was the anchor of that rotation. Now you're going to count on veteran Zach Eflin. I mean, nice pitcher, but
and Charlie Morton.
oh my God.
They,
And, and
and Charlie Morton's a good like. Come on, that's a good guy to have. But
yeah, but he's 41. I mean, he's our
40
age.
again, who's undefeated? Exactly.
Father time.
Who's undefeated?
But
It's it's
meanwhile,
it's it's cruel, but it's
this
true.
guy, Grayson Rodriguez, that's the guy who's supposed to be anchoring this
That's the guy who needs to be
rotation,
their number one right there.
and he's and
That's
he
the guy.
and
The
he's not
Orioles are
ready.
gonna go as far as Grayson Rodriguez and Gunnar Henderson take them.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
that's
tall
their
order,
guys.
man.
That's their two horses right there.
That's a tall order, but and that's the problem. They're gonna count on all these. I mean, they're nice young players and nice supporting cast like Colton Cowser, Ryan Mountcastle. It's all homegrown basically, outside of Tyler O'Neill and Ryan O'Hearn, who they resurrected Ryan O'Hearn's career in Baltimore after being a flameout in Kansas City. They
Kansas
got a
City.
yeah, Daz Cameron, who I don't think he's long for this world, but nice little placeholder, athletic outfielder. But yeah, it's if you really want to make some noise and tell the world that we are ready to take the next step, yeah, there has to be a big name somewhere in here to support
And
Gunnar Henderson.
if those guys, look, if the Orioles, we could be in 6 months, we could be here wearing egg on our face because the Orioles win 103 games.
It's
You know
possible,
why?
yeah.
Because it's possible if if those guys, all of them play to their potential, yeah, it's very possible that this
Yeah.
Orioles team could win 103 games. It's also very possible that they could go 68 and 94
Just because of
because
injuries
it's
and lack
it's
of
it's
experience, yeah.
the the range on what the Orioles can do this year with this group. It's they could either win 63 or they could win 103. You don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to see what Gunnar Henderson can do because we know what Judge can do in that league. We know what Witt can do. I want to see I want to see if I want to see if Gunnar Henderson can be because a lot of people are look, a lot of people have already called Gunnar Henderson the $1 billion guy.
Oh God.
There are some people that have said that Gunner's going to be the one to command $1 billion. All right, let's see it. That's what I want to. I want to look. I want to. I want to. I need to see that guy that a lot of people are anointing already, saying that he's going to be the one to break $1 billion. All right,
Uh,
let's take a look.
Felix Bautista, is he ready or not? He's coming back from Tommy John surgery, if I remember correctly. You think he's ready to take over the closer's role again, or do the Orioles need to go out and get somebody else?
You know what? These arms are coming up perfect after Tommy John in 2025. I'd say keep him, give him a month, and see. You know,
Okay.
it's not gonna. He's not gonna be the one that breaks you. I tell you that right now.
I mean, the
Like,
bullpen looks pretty good, by the way. I like
yeah,
their bullpen.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. One of those guys could step up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got Sir Anthony Dominguez, you got Yener Cano. Those guys have closed before, so and they've gone and like Yener Cano. Didn't he? He used to be with Houston, right? Yeah, I believe he used to be with Houston before, right?
The Twins. He was with the Twins. He was part of
The
the
Twins
oh, what trade? What, the Jorge Lopez trade, I
and
believe?
I believe Sir Anthony Dominguez used to be with the
Phillies.
Phillies. So
Yeah.
these guys have pitched some really big innings. So
And
the bullpen, let's say Felix Bautista goes down, one of those other guys can step up and take you. That's not what's going to make your season. What's going to make your season is can you find standard starting pitchers and can Gunnar Henderson put that MVP season? Because when one guy puts an MVP season, unless you're Andre Dawson and the '87 Cubs, other guys are going to start doing the same because they're not going to start pitching to him. They're
yeah.
gonna and then that's going to prompt other guys to uh to start producing at a higher level as well. So, but yeah, this team's gonna go as far as Gunner takes them. Bottom line,
And they still got Samuel Basalo, but again, a catcher, first base. Well, that means he would have to, like, what, I guess Ryan Mountcastle, maybe. Who's playing for? Yeah, Ryan Mountcastle.
Mountcastle.
I guess that's doable. He's not gonna overtake Adley Rushman, that's for sure. But apparently, he's the top prospect in Major
He's
League
only
Baseball.
20.
He's
He's
only
only 20,
20.
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's no rush to bring him up. But
And talking about prospects,
yeah,
in the American League, one of my guys, Max Clark, I want to see him up this year. I want to see what he can do. I
so
want to see. He's with the
Blue
Tigers.
Tigers.
He's with the Tigers.
Okay.
I want to see if he's ready to come up this year because the Tigers have a lot of holes they can put him in, and the Tigers have a lot of players that could make a lot of noise. Don't sleep on the Tigers in the Central.
What
And
position does he play, Max Clark?
I believe he's a center fielder. I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, they could use some outfield
I
help.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's a center fielder. But he's ranked high up in the. I believe he was like top 15 last year. I want to see how he can do it this year and see if the Tigers can make some real noise because you really didn't feel like the Tigers could win last year. Yeah, you felt like they could probably win a game or two. You really didn't feel like they were an LCS team last year. No team in the American League other than the Yankees was, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But the
what
difference
the
there is they got this
the
guy right
the
here, right?
Detroit Tigers are getting better.
And that's the big difference is Tariq Skubal. I mean, when you got
Skubal, Also, that's another guy I want to see. I want to see if he can do it again. Not obviously, that's a tall order. Throw me another Cy Young year, but can you follow up? Can you put
Tariq
up a really solid season?
Tariq Skubal or Paul Skeens as the number one pitcher being taken in fantasy drafts this upcoming season. Who do you
Paul
take?
Skeens all day.
You really would take Paul Skeens. Wow.
I take Skeens all day. Look, if I'm the I know this is never gonna happen, and Matkovich is probably gonna throw the largest cackle in the world when I say this, but if I'm the Pirates, I extend Skeens. Make him
Yeah.
the first $400 million starting pitcher.
Oh,
Throw
you're
throw
talking big
10
money.
years. Throw 10 years at the guy. I don't care.
You're
Like,
talking
it's
big
not my
money.
team, but you really think, look, a guy like Mark Cuban would have done that already. I don't care. Look, give him, make Paul Skeens he's going to be the first $400 million starting pitcher. I know it's going to be him probably. More than likely, it's going to be him. But what you don't count is the fact that this was his first year. He's already 24
Yeah.
because he went to college.
Yes.
So he's already, I think he's 23. He's 23. He's 23 this year. He's not, if he rides out, like a guy that came out of college, it's a lot easier to extend and talk to because if he waits his 6 arbitration years, he's not going to get a 10-year contract at the age of 27.
No.
So these guys that came out of college at the age of 21, 22, and they have seasons like Skeens, these are the guys you really got to extend. If I'm the Pirates, look, dude, how about 350 for 10 years? And you become our guy. Is that going to happen? I don't think so.
Yeah,
But
I don't see it happening.
right now you ask me Paul Skeens is I'd say that probably I I put him two. I put him two behind Wheeler right now in the league.
I'm sorry.
I
Well,
probably I probably I probably go two behind Wheeler. That's Paul Skeens right now.
you put Paul Skeens at number two and then Zach Wheeler at number one. Is that what you're
Yes.
trying to? Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was gonna follow up with, would you rather have Wheeler or Skeens? And I guess you just answered my question. But for
Well,
me,
right now, today I have Wheeler. In 5 years, I have Skeens.
oh yeah,
Skeens,
yeah. Today,
he
talking about
is
today only.
headed. He is headed. If if the arm holds up, because that's another thing. That's another reason why a lot of people are gonna be like, I don't extend that guy. If the arm holds up, Skeens has what Mark Pryor and Steven Strasburg should have been. That's
Mm.
what that's what I really hope Skeens brings to the table. So I'm that's another guy I want to see. I want to see if he
Ah,
stays healthy. I want to see him pitch 150, 160, 180 innings and see if he can hold that load.
I'm the opposite. I would put Terry Scuba at the number one spot, and then Skeens and Wheeler. And I love Wheeler, but I just think that the upside is still there with Scuball, and he's on a better team. Skeens, I everything about him just tells me arm injury coming up soon. But then you could make that argument about any pitcher. But I think I like Scuball's track record of just showing that he could be healthy, and we're still kind
Yeah,
of waiting for.
Scuba has the workload. Yeah, the body of work. I
Yeah,
know
that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
people like that term, the body of work.
I was struggling to come up with it, but and then Skeens, I think that was the most he's worked was last year. So there's gonna be a wall coming, and it's gonna come with it's always gonna start out the same way: forearm fatigue, shoulder problems. I can't bend my elbow now, and then he's gonna require Tommy John surgery, and that's how Tyree Scubo's going to prove me right. But you notice that the other guy you mentioned that you put at number one, Zach Wheeler, for right now, well over 30 years old. And like I always say, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, older is better at starting pitcher. Ask Charlie Morton.
Well,
Huh?
if you can
Huh?
pitch, if you can these days,
These
if you
days.
can hold 160 innings, if you can hold 160 innings of work at an ERA of, three something and a FIP of three something and a whip of 120 something or less, you're gonna have a job.
Hmm.
And these older pitchers, and notice I'm saying pitchers, not throwers,
Yeah.
they reinvent themselves
Yep.
and they start pitching and they start relying less on the gas.
Yep.
Maybe, maybe somebody ought to start doing that with these kids when they're 23 and 24 and not wait until their second Tommy John to start teaching them how to pitch. So,
It's the weirdest thing. It really is. But the problem there is that's so unrefined. These because remember the for a lot of these guys when you read their scouting reports, the number one thing that's ready to go right now at this instant is that fastball. And then maybe you have a secondary pitch, maybe it's usually a slider. That's that's a good complement to that fastball. So you have two pitches that are major league ready if you're lucky, if cream of the crop. Sometimes you'll have a player like a Paul Skeens, like a Grayson Rodriguez, and Grayson Rodriguez to a lesser extent in comparison, that they have a third pitch, or maybe their changeup is already tuned up. But as you know, Melvin, it takes years. Pitching's hard, bro. Starting pitching is super hard. If that's why they get paid a lot of money because not everybody can pull it off because it's a hard thing to do.
you know
Uh,
what? I'm gonna make a call right here,
yeah.
and I'm gonna let every Major League Baseball executive know that if they have pitchers that they need to practice and they have to send them somewhere, send them to the winter leagues.
Yeah.
Send Paul Skeens to the winter leagues for 10 games
Oh,
and
we can't add
have
those
him
innings to their
have him
arms, man. What are you talking
have
about?
him develop a curveball, a power curveball or something, you know?
Yeah.
But you know what? Oh, they can get hurt. Well, you know what? They can get hurt in the gym, you know. I mean, I think plus you're not paying him 30 mil, so you don't want to send him to the big to the winter league. Okay, extend him. Go ahead.
And the
Oh, but
Pirates
you
aren't
won't
going
do
in,
that either.
and the
So
Pirates aren't going anywhere anyway. So yeah, you might as well have him refine his craft down there.
you
But
might as well
but we
build
need
him up for
we
five
need our
years from now when you trade him.
we need our coaches to be around, and we need our developmental people. And guess what, bro? These guys, they're going to the ginormous facilities out there, whether it's Driveline or someone else, and they got the third party administrators teaching these guys how to, well, like you said, not really pitch, but throw hard, harder, hardest. That's been the way. But that's a different topic for a different day because we could be here all day talking about the pitching, and yet somehow pitching is getting the job done. I just pulled up the leaderboards on the other tab here, and although these numbers are not impressive, but we did see uh you know a low in ERA compared to the other years since 2019. 2022 was the lowest point in terms of ERA for these pitchers. And then last year, after seeing the offense tick up in 2023, pitching had the advantage once again, despite the fact that there was a dip in strikeouts compared to last year in 2023.
Wonder how much of that was the shift, you know, the shift ban and all that stuff.
For the lack of
Uh,
strikeouts.
no, the ERA coming back to normal, you know,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
ERA spikes up and then comes back down
Oh,
to
that's
quote unquote normal.
easily the number one reason. And then, like we talked about all year last year, these fielders and these uh, managers and these analytics people and the front office, they figured out, okay, I mean, Melvin, my friend, we saw it. These rules impact more than just what you see, on a game to game basis. These effing teams went out of their way to construct their rosters for defensive purposes only. That's why there's also was a lack of offense last year because I'll put it this way. Remember back in the old days, there was we just talk about Dwight Smith, not the kid, not his kid, but the father, the former Cubs player from the '90s.
Dwight Smith, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
no, that's the year when Jerome Walton and him
that's
finished
right.
1-2.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
Hey,
who knows?
progress is
Maybe teams
linear,
start
right?
doing what they did.
Progress is
Maybe,
linear, right? Right?
maybe teams start doing what they what they did with Michael Lorenzen. You know, you see
Mm,
what they do with Lorenzen? They're gonna let him hit so they can
yeah.
count him as a two-way player.
That's right. He'd be a
So
good candidate for that,
you
and
know,
then
maybe
maybe
hey,
Hunter Green will go back to hitting as well. Why not? Mackenzie Gore too.
he needs look what the rule states is they need to play 20 games
Hmm.
and take three plate appearances.
Okay.
So if you play 20 games and you take three appearances in those 20 games, you're a two-way player. So let them take their ABs
Yeah.
and play without a DH during their games, and you can have an extra pitcher.
That's right.
That's that's the Otani rule. But watch how they're gonna change it now because people are gonna start trying to. But we're gonna go back to pitchers hitting. That's what's gonna be so hilarious. Kind of like cable. That we're back to cable. All these subscriptions. All these
Okay. Oh,
subscriptions.
don't get me
We,
started,
we
bro.
got rid of we got rid of cable, and now we got all these subscriptions and all these bundles and all these shows you can't watch anywhere. And guess
Hmm.
what? You're back to paying for a cable bill. It's
Yeah.
just disguised as all these bundles and subscriptions. Same
Yeah.
thing's gonna happen. Teams are gonna be like, "Oh, wait a minute." So all I have to do is let my pitcher take 60 plate appearances, and I can have an extra pitcher. Okay, so I'm gonna package it differently, and guess what, America? You're gonna have pitchers hitting again because now they're two-way players.
All right. See, the problem fixed itself, right? It just had,
And things kind of like work themselves away, you
yeah,
know?
it's just a lot of intervention from the commissioner. Well, the whole point of my spiel was, you used to have a Dwight Smith on your bench, a Lenny Harris on your bench, these big bats, in
John
case of,
Vanderwall,
oh, hell
Matt
yeah.
Stairs.
Matt Stairs, in case of emergency, break open the seal, and here
Yeah.
comes the big bat off the bench, right? If you look at these rosters in the last couple of years, especially with this shift stuff happening, man, those days are gone. I mean, even like the best teams did not have guys like that. What they were building their bench towards was more versatility on defense. Can the guy play multiple positions? Can he field his position well? If he's only going to be a primary position player, can he field very well at that position? But if not, then we need to find him another spot, or if not, he needs to get the hell out because we don't have
You
room
know,
for him.
back in the day, teams used to build their season squad, and they used to have a guy that used to come off the bench and hit, like Lenny Harris, like Matt Stairs, like John Vanderwall, those guys. Now it's the guy that steals a base. They were like they went to the guy who stole bases,
Uh,
Quentin Berry,
Jared Dyson,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, Jared Dyson, and
Um,
now it's guys who can field their position.
you mean
If
like Javier Baez for the Tigers as a utility
Javier
player?
Baez, the most overpaid utility player ever, because and you know what? He should have been in the winter league getting some swings.
Was that you telling
But
me that, hey, Cub fans, we got what we wanted. We got to see Gleyber Torres and Javier Baez on the same team?
in the same team ever again. Yeah, that was going to be the Cubs double play combination of the championship. It was going to be Javi at short and Gleyber at second. Well, there you go. There you have it.
Now you
Hey,
have it,
listen, I
man.
don't feel bad for trading for Chapman. I'm sorry. I'll do it all over again. So
Yeah, I know Yankee fans like, well, he didn't do anything for you, man. Our bullpen was in shambles, man. We needed something because you know what happens
we won.
if
We
the Cubs
won.
don't do something in that position, that's gonna be forever. It was the way the Yankee fans talk about Brian Cashman now. Like, oh, he refused. We just talked about it. They had three guys who aren't doing jack anything for you, but at least you got to keep them. Oh, great job, Brian Cashman. Great job. Meanwhile, 2016 is only 8 years ago, or nine at this point. Oh God, we're getting 10 years.
9 years at this point. Yeah.
We're getting closer to 10 years, and we're turning into White Sox fans. Like, okay, 2005 was like 9 years ago. When's the next championship?
2005 was 9 years ago. Yeah.
And now it's been, oh fuck, man, 20 years ago now at this. Oh my God, 20 years ago the White Sox won the World Series. That's crazy. Oh man,
Yeah.
dude, I'm having an existential crisis at the moment. Anyway, getting back to the Tigers, yeah. Who are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We're talking
Max
about
Clark. Max Clark.
Max Clark.
Okay, let me see. Where is he? You said outfield, right?
Believe so. Yes, he's an outfielder.
Why isn't he in this thing? Let me see. Is he in
Well, you
Triple
can.
A? Is he in Triple A? Oh, high A. It's gonna be a while. But you do bring up an interesting point. It would be outfield. So there's plenty of spots in the outfield, but in the infields, that's why I'm surprised that Gleyber Torres made his way over here because they're loaded at the infield. They got Colt Keith, Jace Jung. They have Spencer Torkelson, who, in order to make room for Gleyber Torres, they had to send him down to the minors. So and Trace Sweeney, who at one point was,
Trey Sweeney.
yeah, a highly touted prospect at one point for Yankees and Dodgers, I believe. Oh yeah, yeah,
But then
both.
again, here we have way too many young players. Not all of them are gonna pan out. One of them's gonna not be the one.
Yeah, yeah,
So
especially these two guys right here, Cole Keith, Jace Jung, as high upside as they have, they do come
one
with
of
a lot
those
of,
guys, one of those guys may not be there.
yeah, they do come with a lot of volatility in their play style. But Parker Meadows kind of had like a little breakout last year, but he has a little bit of volatility to his game as well. Riley Green might be the real goods here, but
Yeah, Riley Green may have come out there last year.
yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
But it's okay. They got some veterans on the bench like Zach McKinstry, Andy
McKinstry.
Ibanez, and Javier Baez, veteran
I
utility
still
player.
do not like. I still. What happened to that kid? Like
Oh, Baez?
too many sliders outside. I mean, goodness gracious, that's so much talent and just like so much talent. That's all you can say. Like you look at
Yeah.
Javier Baez and you're like, so much talent, so much
Potential.
Lord given talent, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the
He,
MVP season was not there.
yeah, I think the problem was he was so athletically gifted and so had such God-given raw talent. He just never had a reason to adjust, right? There was no reason for him to adjust. 'Cause- And he probably thought I could get away with this because I've gotten away with it in the past.
Huh.
And he
Well,
signed that
I think
contract, and you saw him
the
kind of
league may
have,
have adjusted.
and the league adjusted to him, and he didn't adjust to the league. And then the other thing was, even when he was adjusting, and there were some times that he had some, you know, I think I got my groove back kind of moments. He would follow up with boneheaded plays like pimping home runs that weren't really home runs, base running blunders. Like it's like a Benjamin Button thing going on in terms of the mental aspect of the
But
game too.
it's just I just don't get. This is why this game sucks sometimes
Oh yeah, it's
because this
terrible.
kid is just too talented to be a punchline now. He is
Yeah,
way too talented. I mean, obviously not a punchline. But I mean, he's earning 140 million, 20 some odd million a season, and he's going to the bench. He's probably not going to start. So,
yeah,
and now, does he care? Obviously, no, because the money still hits, but I'm
yeah,
sure he cares. He doesn't want to be, known as the most overpaid bench player there is. But man, this game is just so unfair because
yeah,
guys like Javi Baez have way too much talent, way too much raw talent for that to happen. But then again, to me, it's about
yeah.
the
And
discipline
and there
because
isn't any, especially with the Tigers. I think. I mean,
it's the discipline. It's you see what you did this season. You know you need some ABs, bro. Go to the winter league and get some work in. You don't
yeah,
need to be partying with Beltran and Lindor and all those guys and the Christmas party. You need to be taking some really good swings in the winter league, a la Eddie Rosario, Emmanuel Rivera, all those guys that need that workout during the year. They're getting it. He should have gotten it too. But to me, it's just how this game is just unfair.
yeah. And
That's
as you
all
can
it
see,
is.
the outside the strike zone swing percentage spiked all the way up as soon as he left the Cubs. So it seemed like the Cubs kind of had him on a. You see those. These are still high, by the way, 38%, 41%. These are
Right.
high out the marks, but they then go above 43%. He gets traded to the Mets, and suddenly it goes up to 43%. And now we're talking,
47%.
I mean, every other pitch he's swinging outside the strike zone. I mean, that's how bad it is. He tried to control it back, but look, he's trying to go back to his Cup numbers. And by then, if you look at the called strike percentages, this looks like a guy who can't figure out the strike zone anymore. He's so confused. These pitchers are throwing faster, and their breaking pitches are so they have much more spin. They have much more break. They're just advanced. Sure, they're breaking their arms apart, but guys like Javier Baez, he's striking out like 3 or 4 times a game because he can't figure out what the hell's going on. And this is with him trying to be more patient. And so he's probably thinking, oh well, screw this. I tried it their way. I try to be patient. It's not working. So I'm back out there hacking again. And what you get is just a lost player. Now, albeit there are some players that can get away with this, right? He's not the only one that has this profile, but his is just the most glaring because it's so bad. But guys who have similar batting profiles are guys like Luis Robert and Julio Rodriguez. But we don't think that. Well, it's hard to tell, right? But Luis Robert and Julio Rodriguez, they've been struggling too. But it's not nearly the downfall that Javier Baez is experiencing at the moment. So
So,
yeah, that's just a statistical way. I mean, the other thing we could look at is the batted ball data. See what kind of when he does make contact, what kind of contact is he making? It's a lot of pop ups. That's a career high, not counting his rookie season.
Mm.
That's a career pop-up rate, which, as you know, Melvin, pop-ups are just automatic outs.
They
Uh,
are at this level. They are.
and he tried to hit the ball more so he's there. There is an adjustment here with between the ground balls and the fly balls. He was really trying to launch that ball, launch angle, right? He's trying to be more productive in a very large baseball stadium like Tiger Stadium or what they at the Koopa Comerica Field.
Comerica.
Comerica Park, sorry. Is it bottom rate field or guaranteed rate field? I don't know anymore. Is it State Farm Insurance or
Some
American
kind
Family?
of fixed rate that's made to mess people up.
And people are
That's
still
what
crying
it is.
about Miller Field not longer being known as Miller Field up in Milwaukee.
Miller Park, yeah.
It's an insurance company now, and hopefully they got fire insurance coverage. But as
Oh
you can
my
see,
goodness.
he's trying to drop the ground ball rate. Because ground ball rates are bad. But what the thing about Baez is he's still a speedy guy, so he can get away with it. Remember, a lot of the greatest moments of Javier Baez is just him outrunning the
The
ground
hustle
balls,
plays, yeah.
the hustle plays. That's
Yeah, the hustle plays, and then making Will Craig be Will Craig.
and we never saw him again. But and then
He's in Korea now.
oh, that explains it. And
Yep.
then he just kind of last year he just gave up going the opposite field, and so he's trying to pull the ball more. And opposing fielders love that crap because if you're predictable, they know that those scatter charts, they know where the ball's going at every time. Those are automatic outs too, no matter how fast you are, no matter how volatile you can be. What about his Statcast numbers? It's kind of 88 miles an hour. I guess that's kind of healthy, but the max EV, I guess that's over 110, so there's potential there. The barrel rate, 7.8%. It's a level. It's kind of a level swing. I don't know. Sorry, I was trying to look at this. Actually, that's a high, 11.2. Just trying to think. I'm just trying to envision how that would materialize in real life. But anyway, he's not getting a lot of barrels on those balls for a guy like him who's aggressive and has this explosive bat, but there's no redeeming qualities to any of his expected data either. The hard hit rate has just dipped below 40% ever since he got to the Detroit Tigers. So maybe he shouldn't have signed with the Detroit Tigers. Maybe that's the problem. He shouldn't have done that.
Should have listened to Juan Gonzalez, about signing with Detroit because he said that Detroit took a bunch of his home runs away. So
Yeah, and it's just putrid. But hey, you know what? I mean, the strikeouts are going down. It's just that it's just a lot of weak contact is was what it looks like, and these I think he's just so predictable that they know where the ball is going. He tried driving the ball more in the air last year, and it's not going to work that way. Especially if he's just if you're going to be as inconsistent as he is, it's just not going to work. So he's only 32 years old. Can he bounce back? I mean, I'm always
yeah,
gonna be hopeful for Javier Baez. You know me, man. I mean, we saw what he could do when you have to rely on him to put your team on your back, and he was just I mean, there's a reason why they call him El Mago, the magician. He was a really wonderful player despite all his shortcomings and all his deficiencies. But yeah, these other numbers with the Tigers,
I
it's
think it caught up to him, man. It's like
yeah,
when he was with the Cubs, it's like, okay, well, he doesn't do this, but he does that. Well, he doesn't do this, but he does that. But
yeah.
now he doesn't do this, but what does he do?
Yeah, that's
So
the thing. I think the Cubs with Theo Epstein at the helm, I think they did a wonderful job of just, yes, you could be yourself, hobby, but we also depend on you to do some to, keep some of the things that we preach on this organization as well. And once he signed with the Tigers, hey, just do whatever you want to, just do what you've been doing that made you successful. And Javier Baez probably, there's speculation here, but Baez probably translated that as, oh, I'll just be me. I'll just, Manny being Manny, Hobby being Hobby. I'll just be me and hack at every pitch. Like I said, every other pitch he's hacking outside the strike zone, and success should come. And the complete opposite happened. Despite the fact, Melvin, this is the crazy part is strikeout numbers are down. Like these are now the strikeout figures that he had with the Cubs last, because he
yeah,
was
he used
striking
to
out a lot with
strike
the
out more
Cubs.
there.
Yeah, he's actually decreased his strikes, but again, it's just less power. Um, you know, more. I think it was what he a lot of ground balls that are being hit to the ground to third base and shortstop, and then when he tries to hit it up in the air, those are automatic outs. So it's just I don't want to say bad luck, because I mean he's a product of his own shortcomings and things of that nature. But a lot of it's a
He
lot
is who
more.
he is, my
He
man.
is who he is at this point. Can he improve on that? It's hard.
Yep.
It's not looking very good.
It's really hard for
And the Tigers are
if you're
loaded
gonna
at
depend if
infield.
you're gonna depend on a 32-year-old player to reinvent himself. I think it might be a little too late now. The Tigers may be in luck that they don't have to go out and replace him by buying him. They could probably run into one of these kids to replace him, but
No,
it's
they're
really
loaded.
hard. It's really hard to play. It's really hard to pay 25 million to a guy sitting on the bench, though.
Yeah, and like I said, the Tigers are loaded at infield. They bias like that. We joke about it, but yeah, he's just gonna have to settle for being the $200 million. Well, how much is he getting paid? A lot of money to be a utility infielder.
140.
Oh, well, I guess that's, by comparison, it's not so bad. And just to give you an idea how bad it is for him, yeah, number three, the third most aggressive outside the strike zone swing percentage since 2021, behind guys like Salvador Perez and Ezekiel
Behind two
Tovar.
catchers.
Tovar, middle infield. He plays shortstop
Oh,
for the
that's.
the
Oh, I thought
Rockies.
that was a. I thought that was the other
Uh, the
Ezekiel
the Elias Diaz is an aggressive swinger too, so
Elias.
you might have been thinking about him too. And there's a guy
I,
Harold
I was thinking
Ramirez.
about Elias. Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
Harold Ramirez.
so yeah, Yanner
Leonardo Diaz,
Diaz.
another catcher. There you
That's
go.
my guy. I mean,
That's your dude.
Jose Iglesias, the guy who saved the Mets last year, apparently.
Oh, the MVP.
Oh, Harold Castro. We just talked about him earlier. That's how we
Yeah,
started the
Harold
show. Harold
Castro. He
Castro.
won the. He won the batting title in Puerto Rico.
Oh, that
So
okay, yeah. Luis Robert, we talked about him, how he has similar aggressive capabilities or tendencies. Edmundo Sosa, I mean, yeah, but at least he'll hit the ball on the ground and use his speed to get to first base and make some hustle plays. Maybe the things that Javier Baez should be doing, as you know, Avisel Garcia, also a very
he used to do
notorious.
it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He
Well,
used to do it. It's just it caught up to him, man. 22 is not the same as 32.
no, that's for sure.
You don't make it down the line at the same speed,
The difference between all of these guys who are hyper aggressive is as I highlighted the contact rate. Let me make sure I make this a little bit bigger. The contact rate here, you'll see that he's the only one below 70% until you get
Oh
to
my.
Avisel
Yeah.
Garcia, who's no longer in the league. And
Avi Garcia.
yeah, the reincarnation of Miguel Cabrera. He even looked like him too, and that's a problem.
Jeez.
If you're gonna be this aggressive, you better be like Pablo Sandoval and make a lot of contact. And he doesn't. I mean, even
You need
outside,
to, yeah, you need to make a lot of contact.
and that's and then you go to this one, the called plus swinging strike percentage. Where is that at? Top 10 behind guys like Jose Siri, O'Neal Cruz, who might be the next Javier Baez at this if he keeps going this route. You know,
Yeah, but at least they moved him, and you know what? He's looked pretty recently, and but he took a few. He didn't play the full season, but he took a few ABs down in the Dominican Republic. He's looking pretty good. O'Neal Cruz the move to center field may be helping him.
but just be careful because he has a similar contact rate to Javier Baez. Then you can tell me, well, what about Ellie De La Cruz? I see his name there too. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons why I avoid Ellie De La Cruz in fantasy leagues because there's a lot of red flags here. But guess what? He has a very explosive bat, man. Very explosive player. This is Ellie. This is Javier Baez on steroids, human growth hormones, the stuff that Frank Thomas sells on the Nugenics or whatever the hell that's called.
The new
Horse
Gen X commercials, yeah.
race horse fuel. I don't know, but that's what Javier Baez should have been if he were a beast like Ellie De La Cruz. But
Right.
if Ellie De La Cruz doesn't adjust, and especially him being a switch hitter, right? He's a switch hitter. Last I checked,
Yes.
he could end up like Javier Baez and another former Cub player,
But
Daniel
but that's
Vogelbach.
okay because he's gonna steal all those bases. So
Yeah,
Ellie De La Cruz is gonna steal all those bases, so that's okay.
yeah,
Again, if something happens to Ellie and he ends up swinging very badly, and he'll steal those bases, and he'll. But then again, Ellie De La Cruz is not gonna be 23 forever, so he's gonna have to figure out a way
he has
to
to
get
figure out
that
a way.
ball over the infielder's head,
Yeah,
over the infielder's head.
and recognize the strike zone
Get the ball
better.
on a line over the infielder's head somehow.
Yeah. and recognize the strike zone better, make better contact, but make have better plate discipline. But
What
again, you
I tell I tell the little high schoolers on my son's team, hit the ball with authority over the infielder's head. That's it.
yeah, hit them where
With
they ain't.
authority over the infielder's head. That's it.
Yeah,
If you hit the ball with authority over the infielder's head, they're gonna fall. But if you make the infielder bend over, it's probably not gonna be a good thing. So
and then the last thing I'm going to show off here, I love looking at these contact rates and things of that nature. The worst contact rates since 2021, Joey Gallo, Jose Siri, who we just talked about him. He's with who was he with? We just talked about his team. Is it the Mets? Yeah, I
Jose
think.
Siri is tearing it apart in the Dominican Republic right now for Albert Pujols' Leones del Escogido.
Oh, so he's
So
making
he's
plenty,
he's he's
plenty of
he's
contact
ple-
there.
he's making plenty of contact there. So he's tearing it apart there. So we'll see.
Luke Raley, Christopher Morel, Patrick Wisdom, current.
Hey,
No,
Patrick Wisdom played
yeah,
in
or
Mexico in the Winter League.
oh yeah, how's he doing? Is he doing better than he was with the Cubs?
He did pretty well. He did enough to earn a contract in Korea. So he's going to Korea
Okay,
this
so
this coming year.
two
So
former Cubs
yeah,
players here.
two former Cubs players, yeah. But
Your guy
yeah,
Nolan
Patrick
Gorman.
Wisdom going to Korea. So
Interesting. I did not know that.
Nolan Gorman,
Your
I
guy
still believe
Nolan
in that. I,
Gorman.
I still believe in that guy.
I do too,
I still
but
believe in that guy.
the
Yeah.
clock is ticking, man. I'm running patient. My patience is running thin with
It
him.
is ticking.
JD
It is ticking.
Davis.
Yes, he's what 30. He's not 25 yet, is he?
I
25,
don't.
Nolan Gorman.
I don't think so. I'll click on it really quick.
And I mean, he may be 25 now, but
I
he's
don't think he's
he's.
older than
I
25.
want to give that guy one more chance
He'll be
because
25 on May 10th. So
yeah,
he's
he'll
on.
be. I think
He'll,
this may be the year right here.
yeah, we'll see. I mean,
That guy can hit. That guy slugs too much.
yeah, he's a
That guy
power
slugs
threat.
too much.
Dan Uggla, he was left-handed. Chris Taylor, that's age.
Oh,
There's
Dan
Javier
Ugla,
Baez.
yes.
Javier Baez at number 9. Number 10 is O'Neal Cruz. We just talked about him. And then your guy Brent Rooker at number 12. He got
Brent
away with
Rooker, who
he
got the extension.
got away with murder. But you know what it is about Brent Rooker? Yeah, he doesn't make a lot of overall contact, but he's a little bit patient, a little bit patient than some of these other guys I just mentioned, like Javier Baez. So yeah, that's usually the big difference. There has to be a balance. If you're gonna hit this low of a contact, then you better either up your power game or just know what pitches to swing at. And I'll give Rooker that credit that he was since 2021. He's been pretty patient when it comes to pitches outside the strike zone. But yeah, it's a mixed bag of things. You got these explosive boom and bust players, but overall, I mean, these guys, for the most part, just a lot of red flags is what I see. There's Jake Berger, Brandon Lau, guys you can't trust in fantasy.
Jake Berger.
At least I don't trust in fantasy.
Ugh.
So yeah, that's why I use this because like yeah, these are players I try to avoid as much as I like Nolan Gorman. He has to be for the right price. O'Neal Cruz has to be there for the right price. But like you just mentioned, these guys come with such explosiveness that their price goes up because of it.
Those
So
guys, like, would it surprise you if Nolan Gorman hits 30 this year? Hits
no, I
30
would
home
not.
runs
If
this year.
he
It
has
would
three
not
home runs,
surprise me
it
at
would not
all.
surprise me. No
If he
way.
hits 30 home runs, not surprised at all.
But I could also
He's
see
got
him.
he's got it, but I could also see him drawing 50 walks and striking out 215 times. So
I
come
can
on,
see him
dude, you got to
hitting.
give me something else.
I can see him hitting 202 and still hit like 20 home runs. And the Cardinals are gonna
Right.
send him down to. I tell Cardinal fans, hey, don't get attached to these players, man. Cardinals, they have a short leash on all these guys. We just saw Tyler O'Neill. He's on his like third
Well,
team.
the Cardinals' way is not there no more, so they're catching up
No,
on
bro,
how to
the Cardinals' way is in the
do it.
Dominican League right now. About to win the championship down there in the Winter Leagues.
Yeah.
The Cardinals' way.
The
Albert
Cardinals' way.
Albert Pujols reference.
Albert Pujols,
Where is Yadier Molina anyway? Where is he?
uh, the Águilas, the same team, the same league, is just in the round robin because JC Escarra stopped playing because the Yankees were like, "Hey, stop him," because he's doing really well now. The Águilas Ibaeñas went in the playoffs, but yeah, they're like 2-10 in the round robin, so they're more than likely not going to make it. But Yadi did his part.
Yep.
Yadi did really well, but I mean, when in the winter leagues when when the big league team says, "Hey, my guy's done playing," then their guy's done playing, and there's nothing you can do. So,
Anything else you want to, any other player you want to speak on? Any other thing you want to talk about as we wrap up this
man,
show?
I will talk all night, but we
Yeah.
need to leave some for the next time.
Yeah,
So,
I just realized that I blink and it's already late. Like, oh my God. I thought this was going to be a short show,
hey,
to be
man, it's
honest
all
with you.
good, man. Hey, it's all good, man. Hey, you'll keep me here talking baseball all night if you let me, so it's okay.
Yeah, same. We're like we're our worst enemies out here. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for
Um,
having me, man. I look forward to being back during the season, and we'll see
yes.
how these
Yes.
AAA players over here do in the Nashville Sounds, and see if we
Let's
can graduate some of them to the big leagues over there.
Yeah, make their Wrigley Field friendly confines debut. You and I, we're on two leagues. You're coming back to Mardi Gras Madness, right? I thought I saw you chime in.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
You did.
I'm in Mardi Gras, and I'm in yours too. So
You told the commissioner already, right? I
I
didn't.
did. Yeah,
Okay,
I wrote that
perfect.
message already. So
All right, I think we're keeping
I'm
three.
going for the championship. I think I came in second in that league last year, so I'm going for
Yeah,
the
you were the
championship
runner-up.
this year.
You won your division, I believe,
Yeah.
because I won the wild card. I thought, or what
Yeah,
was it?
I won my division, and I'm telling you, man, I'm really excited about playing with these guys again. So we'll see how that goes, man. Thank you for having me. So look forward to being here. By the way, that's a Frosted Flakes.
Oh yeah,
I'm
is
gonna
that David Ortiz?
no. Guess who that is?
Was that Albert Bell?
That's Carlos Baerga, bro.
Oh, snap. Where'd you get that from?
I found it at a memorabilia card show, but it used to be a promotion. There's real Frosted Flakes in there. I'm not gonna open them, obviously, but there's real Frosted Flakes in there, and it has all Carlos Baerga stuff and everything. That's pretty cool, you know.
Was
My
that?
dad I remember when this promotion came out, he went to like five or six stores trying to find it for me because Carlos Baerga was my dude, and now he's a fellow journalist. You know, I got to
Yeah.
meet him at the Caribbean Series. Great
Oh,
guy.
wow.
You know, gets on people's nerves sometimes with him because Scott Boras is really close with him.
Yeah.
He's godfather to one of his kids, so he gets some inside scoops, and that they bother a lot of people, but sometimes they pan out, man. He called Soto to the Mets, so he does have some information. But anyway, Carlos Baerga, one of my favorite guys, and now he's a fellow journalist, and I got to meet him at the Caribbean Series. Great dude, you know, always willing to help and send a shout out. So uh,
I'm afraid to
anyway,
ask.
but yeah,
I'm afraid to
that's
ask.
my memorabilia there.
I'm afraid to ask. What's the expiration date on that box?
Oh, let's see. The expiration date on this box is my goodness, let me see. Oh, yes, May 20th, 1996.
I was gonna guess 1995. Wow.
Yeah, right
That's
there. May 20th, 1996.
that is disgustingly interesting.
But it's sealed, so it's
Oh,
okay.
so
Come
it's
on, man.
okay.
Something that stays sealed for 30 years cannot harm your body, right?
Oh my God. Is it been 30 years? I thought it was 20 years. I can't math right this right now.
Hey, man,
Holy
look.
moly.
It's
God,
been 30 years almost since the OJ Simpson chase. So
oh
we
man.
are up there, dude.
That
But
shit
anyway,
what are
Carlos
you
Baerga,
talking about? That happened
shout out, dude.
yesterday, bro. That happened yesterday. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Oh
man.
my God. That's the 95, 96, 97 Cleveland Guardians, Indians, whatever you want to call them. Oh my goodness. With
Yep.
Carlos Baerga
Hey.
and
Yep.
that team. That was a loaded team.
That was high octane.
All that
That
was
was a high
missing.
octane team. Yep.
All that was missing was pitching. But I mean, they try. I mean, they brought in Dave
Well,
Burba.
they ran onto Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. That's what happened.
Yeah,
That was
90
the only problem with them.
in 95 and in 97 they ran into
And then in '97, after all year of letting Jose Mesa call his own pitches, then Mike Hargrove wanted to call the pitches from the dugout, and they couldn't get together, and Jose Mesa blew the save.
oh man,
If
what
Mike
a
Hargrove doesn't call all the pitches, Jose Mesa said it himself. You know, if you haven't called a single pitch on me all year, why are you going to call it now?
who is that?
Over managing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? We
Yeah.
don't,
Mike Hargrove.
I'm not gonna
He
say
was
anything
the
because we're gonna go off a tangent again. But Mike Hargrove was a former catcher too, right? Wasn't he a former catcher? I thought he was a
Yeah, he
former
was.
catcher. Was
He
he?
was. But yeah, he was, but he never called a single pitch that whole season. And
Wow. You wanted to
yeah,
get some credit.
he started calling the the game from the dugout, and that threw Jose Mesa off, and he blew the save
We
against the Marlins.
stand corrected. According to Baseball Reference, he was a first baseman and left fielder. Um,
There you go. So that's the same guy we
is
want calling your pitches, right?
wait, is he the human rain delay or is that somebody else?
I believe that was someone
Yes, he
else.
is. Yes, the human rain delay,
He
Mike
was?
Hargrove. Yes, he was the human
Oh,
rain delay. It's of all
Mike
the little
Hargrove.
because of all the little nuances, all the little what do you call it? Tweakings that he would do
Oh, the tweaking.
at the plate there back in the 70s and stuff.
Well,
Anyway, if I keep you around, I'm gonna keep you here till like way past your bedtime.
that's
So,
okay,
man,
man.
my friend, thank you so much for showing up. I look forward to competing
Thank
against
you
you
for
this
having me,
upcoming
man.
season in fantasy baseball and see what happens with Baseball Cosmos and we'll see when we can have you on again. All right.
Yes, sir.
All
You
right,
have a
man.
good night, all right? And see you later. Have a
That
good night.
was Melvin from the Baseball Cosmos. I am Felipe. I'll see everybody else here on the Total Basis podcast. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.